This video intends to demonstrate a couple best practices for the InDesign, for translating InDesign materials in Verbingo. Notice here I'm at the load retrieve portion. I selected this, but before we even start here, we need to look at the file in InDesign itself. I brought up a document that is similar to what we see all the time, nice and laid out with fonts and everything, and lots of good attributes, very simple at the same time, informative and good. But there are things that we need to do that aren't always visible to this document. So, for example, the first thing we would do is turn on the hidden characters so that we can see what's going on with this text. Now, the main thing to keep in mind is that InDesign and Verbingo, Verbingo follows InDesign rules, and InDesign will segment or break any sentence or paragraph wherever there is a change in attribute or wherever there is a hard or soft return. Now, I'm going to show you examples of this. Here in the top part of this document, we have a header here. Now, this is a segment that makes sense together, but it will not be presented in Verbingo as one sentence. It will be presented as two due to this soft return here, and also due to the fact that this font is different from this font. So keep that in mind. There's no problem here because these are two segments that would make sense separately. So it might be okay to leave this as is. Otherwise, you would want to make all of this the same font and with the same size, attributes, and everything. To show another example, let's look here below in this paragraph, right here below. There are 4 lines here that to the eye look normal. But at the end of each line, for some reason, there's been a hard return placed, and this will cause both InDesign and Verbingo to divide this paragraph into 4 sentences. So it is absolutely critical that we take out those hard returns by manually deleting them, so that Verbingo will now recognize this as one sentence. And it doesn't matter when translation comes back in, because translation generally contracts or expands depending on the language. And so this text will need this text box will need to be reworked and perhaps expanded or shrunk depending on the need anyway. So it's always good to get a good segment before you go into translation. Let's look at a couple examples here. I want to look at this paragraph. This paragraph will be divided into 2 sentences due to this soft return. We have to delete that. And again, it's always just good to keep it nice and clean with with all the same font from start to finish in your segment. Below, notice here there are 3 attributes applied to this paragraph. We have bold, regular, and italics. This will cause the segment to divide into 3. Now that may be what you want because, for example, here's italics that is a complete segment, and you would want to keep that attribute and make it easy because you won't have to reapply it later. But in this segment, you have a problem because there will become 2 sentences, and you will then have to deal with that, and the translator will have to deal with that. One of our best practices is to select the entire paragraph so we have a full thought, a full idea. Take it into an editor that strips out the attributes, and then copy and paste it back into InDesign so that it is the same. Now, this will then cause you to need to reapply those attributes later. And yes, that does take extra time, but at least that way you now know that you have a clean, 2 L's in there, a clean segment. In a nutshell, that is the best practice that we wanted to go over today, is to go through your document beforehand. Now, once it's cleaned up, you simply need to export as an IDML, and then you can take that resulting file and run it through Verbingo. If you've done a good job, what you will get back is something that is already. I'm going to open up a sample in Danish of a similar document to this, and you will see that the document comes in pretty well formatted already, and you just need to go in and resolve those issues such as the italics and take out some bolding and whatnot. And this document can be cleaned up in a matter of minutes as opposed to the old traditional ways. I hope this helps, and look for further best practice videos in the future. Thanks.